All right, YouTube. So Tucker Carlson was interviewing this man named Cameron Whitten, who was a part of the Occupy ICE protest that took place in Portland, and they even got the blessing of the mayor to do it, who's probably a Democrat. I'll get back to that later. But look at it this way, folks. And the interview is going to be in the description, of course, but check this guy out. He was basically without any kind of defense when Tucker Carlson brought up the fact that, look, at these rallies there was like a lot of like syringes, like broken beer bottles, trash, etc., like feces and all that stuff. Basically just like almost identical to a homeless encampment. And basically his defense was like, oh, you're not gonna shame your relative for maybe dropping a beer or two at a family barbecue, now are you? And that was that was essentially his argument. But this reminds me of something that Jordan Peterson said. Basically somewhere along the lines of like, if you can't clean your room, then like how do you expect to make a difference in the world? And that's kind of the case here. It's like these folks who are so trashy, literally in nature. Like they don't realize that not only do their ideas suck, but they kind of suck as people too. And I'm not afraid to say that, because these people, like, I feel oftentimes are genuinely awful people, like talking about how great it is that, that whites are basically being marginalized here in the United States, and white racism is so great and everything. I mean, it's pretty awful. And it's even more awful, like, when these white folks actually come out and start, like, feeling white guilt. It's really sad, to be honest. It's really sad, honestly. But, because there's a lot of value in self-respect, and I just don't understand why. I never got to this point, thank God. I never felt bad about my race. Like, I'm a Sephardic Jew. Like, I don't feel bad about that at all. I'm not a practicing Jew, but still. And I'm also Mexican, so I never felt guilty about any of that shit, And it really pains me to see these white folks that are partaking in this. But anyways, that was kind of unrelated to the video. But no, anyways, the mayor, though, of Portland basically gave him the blessing to say, like, hey, look, this is fine, do whatever you guys want. Like, leave the spot that you're protesting at a literal mess. And this is kind of like the standards of the Democratic Party, it seems like, it's just awful, folks. Like, that was a pretty good take. I'm going to end on that. But yeah, check out the interview if you haven't. It's going to be in the description below. One more quick note about my previous video on that lady Sarah Smith that's running against the Democratic incumbent in the DC House position, for the DC House position. Basically, she refused to answer the question that Bill Hemmer asked her. By the way, thank you for asking this, because he asked her, what's your whole take on the... like, what do you think? Do you think that the DNC actually screwed Bernie over? I know that you're a big supporter of Bernie, big believer in Bernie, and do you think that the DNC actually screwed him over? And she's like, oh, I don't want to comment on that. Basically, like saying that she's not going to comment on that, essentially because she's probably cucked out to the DNC. So I just wanted to add that. I forgot to add that in the previous video. It kind of came to mind right before I shot this video, so I thought I'd go ahead and mention it. But yeah, it just really shows how corrupt the DNC is and how often they corrupt others. So in this case, Sarah Smith wants to be the next Ocasio-Cortez or the next Bernie Sanders. Well, look, she's already failed. She's sold out to the DNC, much like Bernie did and much like Ocasio-Cortez did. One thing about the Ocasio-Cortez thing is that she's the new face of the Democratic Party, I guess. But what if she goes down the rabbit hole of being anti-Zionist? Like, what's going to happen there? And exactly, like, is that going to change the direction of the Democratic Party? I'd be very interested to see that. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch it play out. Ron DeSantis said that the majority of the American people support Israel. I'm calling bullshit on that, honestly. Like, I like Ron DeSantis, but that's false. He's basically just kissing the ring of his AIPAC masters, I think. That was pretty harsh, honestly, but that's kind of how I feel. Thanks for watching, guys. Smash that like button, smash the sub button if you guys like the videos. Up to 14 subscribers, so we're trying to get more, and I'm trying to make better content, so stay tuned, and more news to come.